And welcome back to the Hot Lap, where we have to congratulate Max Verstappen on being 4 times a champion. Yes, Lionel Richie should start a song, but well done. And he did it in fine style. Bearing in mind, he definitely didn't have the fastest car. He looked okay at one point, but still, many champions have. I remember Hamilton's Mexican Grand Prix when he became champion, and he was kind of like almost an afterthought in the actual race. But when you look at the whole year, well done, Max Verstappen. An absolutely slap up, fantastic job. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about the race. So once again, congratulations, Max Verstappen. This is what Christian Horner had to say about him. What he's done this year is absolutely cement his position amongst the greats in the sport, both statistically and on the way he's driven. That's unquestionable. Now, yep, it is unquestionable that Max is a massive talent. And 2024 is arguably one of the toughest years. Along with 2021, I think, he's won the championship. 22 and 23 were very, very easy, but he had to dig really, really deep. And when we dug deep, we saw the best of Verstappen this year, and we saw the worst of Verstappen if you look at Mexico and Austria. But there's absolutely no doubt this man is seriously talented. I mean, look, 2021, whatever way you think that ended, yes, okay, you know, we're not going to get into that today, but he did drive, he did drive a lot of the time a really, really good season. 2022, good first half, awesome second half, thanks, I think, to the Red Bull car, as in 2023, it was the car and Verstappen. But this time, Verstappen in 2024, he didn't always have the fastest car, especially in the second half of the season. He really had to dig deep. And you just need to look at the Brazil Grand Prix. That was a championship drive. Also, I think down at Imola as well, when it wasn't necessarily the fastest car, he had to dig deep again and again. He ended up winning. Those are the drives that make a champion. So, Max Verstappen, absolutely fantastic stuff. So, Lando Norris, I thought this was actually really nice of him. Congrats on the 4th title in a row, mate. Awesome drive this year. Was fun fighting you for it. Feels like yesterday we took this pick in karting. I mean, look at that. Look at the size. Oh, look at him. Look at him there. So, well, I mean, yeah, Max Verstappen. Are there any more superlatives? Is that a word? Back. But there we go. So we've got, obviously, Max Verstappen. Now, this is your top 10. Obviously, George Russell from pole winning the race. I don't think too many people, especially coming into the weekend, would have had that on their list. Lewis Hamilton starting 10th. Again, I don't think too many people would have had him on the list finishing second. Carlos Sainz 3rd, starting from second. Then we've got Charles Leclerc 4th. Very unhappy about that with those Ferrari, not really team orders, but he felt like, yeah... Sainz was asked not to pass him when he came out of the pits. I think he did. And poor Charles. But Max Verstappen, a very mature drive in 5th, not doing anything silly. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. I mean, what was weird about this race is it was the top 2 in the championship, including, and I say that, the top 2 drivers and the top 2 teams that were really kind of like a side quest to winning the race. An afterthought. They were basically extras in the movie that was the Las Vegas Grand Prix. That's in spite of Max Verstappen winning an awesome 4th World Championship. I mean, yeah, they were outshone by both Mercedes and both Ferraris. Now, that's going to be some concern to McLaren, who... You know, as we know, the constructors are still very much open. But anyway, Charles Leclerc 4th, Max Verstappen 5th, Lando Norris in 6th, Oscar Piastri 7th, Nico Hülkenberg 8th, Yuki Tsunoda 9th, and Sergio Perez getting that 1 point. But yeah, I mean, we've said everything there is to say on Sergio. We'll probably repeat it at some point today. But there we go. Have it out for the Las Vegas Grand Prix winner, despite 2 people really gunning for him. One at the beginning was Charles Leclerc. He was absolutely all over him. I think between lap 3 and 5, it was looking like everyone said the Ferrari had the race pace going into the race. And it was really not particularly looking good for George. We all thought, oh, those Mercedes, are they going to grain those tyres in the cold weather? But no, it was the Ferrari. It was both Ferrari cars that ended up struggling, and Max Verstappen, I think, to a certain extent as well. So well done. The race was won in that first stint where George Russell ended up getting a good lead, you know, around the 10-second mark, and never really looked back until the man of the race, starting 10th, started to hunt him down. But he used too much of his tyres up. But fair play to him. Never give up. Never surrender, Lewis. He showed us that he has still got it. That is the important thing. Yes, those silly mistakes in qualifying, there may be an argument. He might not be as fast over one lap. But we said, in the race, this man you want on your team. Surely, well done, Lewis Hamilton. I completely agree. Driver of the day. If Gasly was driver of qualifying, Hamilton was driver of the day. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, not bad at all. So let's then get into our winners and losers. And we kind of let's start at the back, shall we? As in, let's start of the man that finished last. Was also, sadly, the man that finished third, Pierre Gasly. I really feel for you. I mean, yeah, engine problem. He lost a couple of positions at the start. But still, he very likely could have got some points. Another man who probably could have got some points was this guy here, Williams, desperately needing a good weekend. Sadly, it wasn't to be if you're Alexander Albon. I mean, that was, yeah, sad. So the last on the road, though, was this man here, the man that's potentially out of a drive for next year, 18th, Valtteri Bottas. Really, really disappointing. Along with this guy here, in 17th, I need to find him on my list now, is Esteban Ocon. Once again, disappointing stuff there. For poor Esteban, kind of he finished 17th and a lap down. Spare a thought also for the Aston Martin boys. I mean, I don't have any words. What is going on? What on earth is going on with Aston Martin? We've got obviously Lance Stroll in 15th. I mean, wow, 84 seconds off. Yes, he started at the back anyway, but still, I mean, we can't really gauge how good Aston Martin are by Lance Stroll, but yeah, we'll speak about Fernando Alonso in a minute. And 14th was Mr. Colapinto, starting from the pit lane after his whoops-a-daisy in qualifying. Glad he's okay. An okay race result, I guess, from 14th in a Williams. I don't think, could you really see much more? No, but I did think this guy here, Mr. Zhao, finishing at 13th, he did a fairly solid job. Bear in mind, this is arguably the slowest car on the grid. I think, he could definitely pat himself on the back. Mr. Magnussen just outside the points in 12th. I think he'll be slightly upset. He only finished, less than a second behind the Aston Martin, which is probably the slower car, if I'm honest, of this man here, Fernando Alonso. How Aston Martin have fallen. Excuse me. I mean, it's just not good, is it? It's not good for Aston Martin. What are they going to do? There's 2 races left. I don't think there's any chance of them being caught in the Constructors. But they need a bit of soul searching going into next year. But then, hey, Adrian Newey is joining them at some point for that 2026. It's going to be really, really interesting there. So finishing 10th, starting right at the back, Sergio Perez in, one of the top 4 cars. And finishing behind Yuki Tsunoda. Yes, he beat Liam Lawson. Liam Lawson finished 16th. I completely forgot about you, Liam. I'm so sorry. I'll speak about you in a bit. But 10th, not good enough, as we all know. Not good enough at all. But here we go. Is Liam Lawson finishing? He finished 16th, 91 seconds down. I think his worst, including Brazil, in terms of actual pace, I think it's his worst weekend so far. But it was quite a difficult race. It was a weird race. It was a cold race. I'm sure come Qatar and Abu Dhabi, he is going to be back in the mix somewhat. And talking about someone who was in the mix, look at this man here, Yuki Tsunoda, finishing a really good 9th. So despite the fact that he nearly didn't make it to the circuit because no one believed he was an F1 driver, but he did well. He did well, didn't he? Didn't Yuki do well? Once again, ahead of Sergio Perez. Surely his name surely still has to be surely in the mix for that Red Bull drive. Absolutely has to be. And then next up, we've got one of the MVPs of the year, Nico Hülkenberg in 8th. Absolutely fantastic drive, as per usual. Audi, going to be surely licking their lips. They've got this guy for a couple of years, if they can have a decent car next year. And in particular, it's going to be the year after. But just ahead is one of the big disappointments, I think, of Las Vegas, Oscar Piastri. I mean, The only excuse I think he's got is Lando Norris struggled just as much. He finished 51 seconds behind Lando Norris, behind the leader, sorry. And Lando Norris finished 43, but the caveat being he did do that extra stop. So Lando Norris really outshone Oscar today, but that McLaren just not fast enough. Now I'm hearing that, yes, they didn't really think going in this would be their race, so to speak. Hopefully that's just not an excuse and they are back for Qatar. If you remember Qatar, last year, Oscar winning the sprint race and Lando, so potentially could have got pole, didn't, fluff it, and the rest is history. But this race really disappointing. Their car. I mean, is it because everyone's suggesting? Is it because of that rear wing that was in Baku is now gone? Because Red Bull had obviously issued with the rear wing. Disappointing, but here we go. But spare a thought for the man that finished 5th. Not the best result, but I don't think he cares because he is now a full-time world champion. Is Max Verstappen, finishing 16.5 behind the Mercedes of George Russell. Yeah, he didn't put up a fight much really when both Hamilton, Sainz and Leclerc went past him because he knew the plan was just to finish ahead of Lando Norris, that is exactly what he did. So we've spoken about Verstappen. Congratulations. But Charles Leclerc, a frustrating race for him. He got a really good start. He got up into second, didn't he? Was looking quite good, and then it started to go backwards. He used too much of his tyres. He grained his tyres trying to pass George Russell. I think he must have felt he needed to pass him sooner rather than later and then get the lead. Maybe track position was key at the beginning of the race, and he just couldn't. George Russell soaked up the pressure, and in the end it was Carlos Sainz that got the last step on the podium in 3rd place, much to Charles Leclerc's frustration, I guess. But the man of the race was Lewis Hamilton. Absolutely well done, fantastic, massive thumbs up, more than made up, I think, for that qualifying whoopsie, debunk, or whatever you want to call it, amateur hour for Lewis Hamilton. But he showed the world and himself and Toto Wolff that he has still got it. But I think if Hamilton was man of the race, if Gasly was man of qualifying, you have to give this guy man of the weekend. Fast in all the sessions, not necessarily on top, but on top when it needed to happen. Built that lead early on in the race after a very good start, and this is despite on the practice grid, they're going to the grid, there was something wrong with the start of his car, and he wasn't really getting away. So in spite of that, he made an absolutely perfecto start. And that was it, really. I mean, we hardly saw. It was kind of like the domination years of Max and Lewis. Yeah, and Michael Schumacher. You really hardly saw him at all because all the action was happening behind him. But well done, absolutely well done, George Russell. I mean, that is absolutely good stuff. So here we leave then our quick race review, our winners and losers. Well done, Max Verstappen. Well done, George Russell. Well done, Mercedes. I guess well done, everybody. We'll have the fallout of the race probably over the next couple of days. And until then, if you could subscribe, that would really cheer me up. Absolutely, you would. And if you made it to the end, you are an F1 world champion like Max and ours. If you made it to the end and gave us a like or a comment, you are a multiple world champion in our eyes. Until then, stay safe. Speak to you soon, and thank you very much.